WNBA free agency is officially underway, Annie. So when you see these names and the options that the Sky have, what do you think that they're cooking up?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because Angel and Camilla are very interesting pieces. And when you're talking about, getting the right players in here, there is intrigue when you have young core pieces like that, because you could be part of developing them and developing towards a title contending season. But the reality is the Sky are still very far from that.
WNBA free agency is underway, and everyone's watching how teams are planning. Experts are focusing on the Chicago Sky, especially looking at young talents like Angel Reese and Camila Cardoso. Some think if the Sky builds around them, they could compete for a championship, but others say the team isn't quite there yet.
You don't get told no. Like, you're going to get the yeses. You're going to get more yeses than nos, and just being able to know that. So I'm excited for that. I know that's going to come soon.
Earlier, Reese confidently talked on her podcast about making Chicago a powerhouse. Now, things look different. While other teams are making big moves.
All City is obsessed with you.
I know. I love it
all
here.
the time.
I feel like Baltimore here. I love it here. It does.
Kind of. A little bit. A little DMV action.
Yeah.
But Chicago is a number 3 market in the country.
Really?
It's New York, LA, and then Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago, y'all have everything. I'm not gonna lie, y'all have everything here. Like, it's nothing here that I'm like, oh, I gotta go to a different city for. Like, everything has been here.
Reese used to shrug off doubts, saying she'd get more yes answers than no. She seemed optimistic about her plans despite setbacks. But now, no all-star players have joined Chicago, while competitors are loading up with top talent. Her vision of creating a championship-ready team, fueled by recruiting efforts like at unrivaled events, has hit a rough patch. Is the league showing less interest in her Chicago project?
Angel Reese and Camila Cardoso, too, have brought relevance to this team that they've desperately needed in a time when, again, if not for them, they'd be completely irrelevant because of the product that they're putting on the floor.
And also make Chicago an attractive spot when you have Angel Reese and Camila Cardoso right there, 2 bigs that really shined in their rookie season.
Back when Angel Reese was full of excitement, she hyped up Chicago as one of the best basketball cities in the U.S., right up there with New York and L.A. She talked about how the city had everything a player could want. But now, the Chicago Sky roster is more confusing than promising. Imagine Reese reaching out to top players, only to get ignored or politely turned down. The free agency buzz is gone, and while other teams are making big moves, Chicago is struggling to keep up.
So, lads, this is not great news, for the Chicago Sky, who are a team that obviously, look, they're rebuilding. This is a team that is 100% rebuilding. The problem is they don't own their pick. So, if the Chicago Sky run it back, they're probably not making the playoffs next year. Look, I think there's going to be an improvement from Angel Reese. I think it's going to be an improvement from Cardoso. But that team with no Kennedy Carter, it's going to be real tough to get any offensive.
To be fair, Reese and Camila Cardoso helped bring some attention back to the Sky during a tough period. Their rookie seasons were impressive, and it seemed like Chicago could attract some big names. But despite being in a major market, no star player picked the Sky. No big announcements, no excitement on social media, just silence.
So, not a good day for the Chicago Sky. Not a good day at all, because we have heard news from the journalist who reports on the WNBA, and because she is not a homer like a lot of the other people, like normally journalists are complete homers for one team. One of the actual credible journalists reported on something. Sky fans aren't happy. They all want their
Alyssa Thomas could have completely changed the team's future, but none of them even considered Chicago.
He had an incredible season for us last year, says the GM. She's extremely talented and is a player that can impact the game at the highest level in our league. We absolutely appreciate all she did for our team last year. However, we've made changes to our staff and we'll make changes to our roster. Those changes impact Kennedy's fit on the team, so we wanted to give her the best opportunity as a free.
Any hope of Reese pulling off a last-minute surprise faded as top players signed with other teams, making it clear the Sky isn't a destination team. When reports surfaced about the front office making mistakes, fans were furious. To make things worse, failed trades and Carter's exit only highlighted deeper issues. The GM praised Carter's contributions, but admitted the team's changes affected her fit. Now, Reese is left with a roster full of rookies and role players, far from the powerhouse team she had in mind.
Angel Reese, did she just run a coach out of town, and is she running a player out of town? Their best shooter out of town? Because Kennedy Carter looks like she's ready to Book it out of Chicago.
As other teams keep upgrading, Chicago keeps falling behind. Losing Carter, their best shooter, is a huge setback. While Reese talked about turning, while other teams keep improving, Angel Reese's dream of building a super team in Chicago now seems unrealistic, buried under front office failures and a growing negative reputation. While Indiana built a title-ready squad, Chicago has done almost nothing, making their silence even louder.
The Seattle Storm are sending Jewel Lloyd to the Las Vegas Aces in a blockbuster 3-team trade that moves Kelsey Plum to the LA Sparks. That's according to ESPN. As part of the deal, Seattle receives the second pick in this year's WNBA draft from LA in exchange for the Storm's number 9 pick, while the Aces also receive the 13th pick, a second-round selection from the Sparks.
Reese once spoke confidently about Chicago's future, but with stars avoiding the sky, her words now feel empty. She imagined forming a dominant team, but the reality is far from that. An empty locker room, ignored recruiting efforts, and a roster that looks more like a pickup game than a championship contender.
According to WNBA Insider, that Illinois native Jewel Lloyd will not be going to Chicago Sky. And obviously, they didn't keep Kennedy Carter. And it's looking like one player, obviously, that's been in Chicago across her careers because of her Illinois roots, is Seattle Storm guard Jewel Lloyd.
Another problem? Chicago's outdated facilities. While teams like Indiana, New York, and Las Vegas train in state-of-the-art centers, the Sky are stuck using a gym that feels like a high school setup, with no upgrades coming until 2026. Even Reese admitted things need to improve, saying every player deserves safe, accessible spaces to grow. But so far, there's been more talk than action.
About the 3 big names you gotta know: Alyssa Thomas, Natasha Cloud, Brittany Griner. Let's start with Brittany Griner, joining Alicia Gray and Ryan Howard in Atlanta. Dream team? Brittany Griner was drafted to Phoenix in 2013, so it's kind of about time, and I'm so excited to see what Atlanta turns around this next season, because they really need her. Phoenix is also losing Natasha Cloud and Beck Allen, along with the number 12 pick overall in this year's draft, to Connecticut. Connecticut is giving up the triple-double queen, Alyssa Thomas, and Ty.
Last season's disaster, finishing 13-27, their worst record since 2020, made it clear that hype alone doesn't win games. Things only got messier off the court with reports of locker room tension. Some say Reese's influence rubbed teammates the wrong way, and when she tried to recruit Gabby Williams, she got rejected. Kennedy Carter even called out the team's culture, saying it only favored a select few players.
The Indiana Fever are that golden destination, and I can't help but laugh to the fans and the people online and the media commentators, unfortunately, who said that nobody wanted to play in Indiana. That doesn't make any sense.
The front office's instability isn't helping either. With staff constantly coming and going, free agents are steering clear of Chicago and picking teams with a stronger foundation. Meanwhile, Indiana keeps getting stronger, even stealing Brianna Turner from Reese's squad. While the Fever are stacking up wins, the Sky are struggling to keep up.
Kind of give myself some grace because I know I'm not the player that I want to be just yet, but also kind of patting myself on the back, telling myself that I'm still doing.
Angel Reese's dream of transforming the Chicago Sky is starting to look unrealistic. While other teams are making big moves, Chicago is stuck with free agency failures and internal drama. The Sky's struggles stand in sharp contrast to the league's rising success stories.
Women should be able to step in and be able to go into a locker room and be able to have a safe space, or go into a gym at 3:00 in the morning where they want to do that. So I want to be able to it's just been great being able to see my impact on and off the court, and not just in sports, but just being able to be a cultural impact as well has just been great.
Reese's confidence, often seen in her social media posts, has raised questions about her leadership. She talks a lot about I and me, which some believe pushes potential teammates away. The tough reality, the WNBA's growing popularity isn't being driven by Reese, but by Caitlin Clark, whose games are filling arenas and breaking TV records.
According to league sources, Weatherspoon had lost the locker room because of a culture that catered to the needs of a few players. Dear Lord.
Meanwhile, in Chicago, empty seats and low TV ratings tell a different story. Reese puts up solid numbers, but they haven't translated into excitement from fans. When Clark's Indiana Fever come to town, the crowd size jumps, something the Sky rarely see on their own. Even Reese's side project, the unrivaled 3-on-3 league, struggled, barely pulling in 100,000 viewers.
I can't help but wonder, is that what happened here? Is Angel Reese and the way she wants to play, and I don't know if you've ever noticed her social media post, but she's very me, always. I, me. Well, you may have a player that has decided that she's had enough of the.
Analysts admit Reese helped keep Chicago relevant during a tough period, but they also point out her weaknesses. The Sky's outdated facilities, locker room chaos, and front office issues are driving free agents away. Now, Reese faces a defining season. Without new talent coming in, she has to prove she's more than just a big personality. She has to show she can lead a winning team.
Throughout the year, WNBA players were demanding to be given credit for elevating the league. Angel Reese claimed that she was along with their pretend friends in the mainstream media. They wanted us to believe that the WNBA was exploding in popularity. They wanted to keep all the credit for themselves while downplaying the impact of the only star in the league, Caitlin Clark.
The bigger lesson: one star can't build a contender alone. Good management, modern facilities, and strong team chemistry all play a role. Things Chicago is clearly lacking. As the new season approaches, all eyes are on Reese. Can she lift the Sky, or will all her bold talk fade into the background? The pressure is on.
Well, now, jealous WNBA players will have the opportunity to earn that credit. Now, players like Angel Reese, they will be given the chance to test their star.
Despite prevailing storylines about Chicago's challenges, there's evidence that the Sky are strategically reshaping their roster with Reese at the center. The acquisition of Ariel Atkins, a seasoned all-star guard with championship experience via a trade involving their number 3 draft pick, points to a deliberate move towards a more experienced lineup.
Yes, it is unrivaled. It is also unwatched. Look, let's be honest. We can sugarcoat it all you want, but if you don't have Caitlin Clark playing women's basketball, or if you're not the NCAA tournament playing women's basketball, you got nothing. Zero zip. Reese may be playing in the league, but who wants to see a goofy 6'6" woman miss layups? Not I.
Yeah, the reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person. It's because of me too, and I want y'all to realize that.
This action directly refutes suggestions of a stagnant front office, as general manager Jeff Pagliacca highlighted Atkins' defensive skills and scoring potential as crucial elements for a renewed playoff ambition. Notably, Reese publicly expressed enthusiasm about this development, potentially indicating her involvement in the decision-making process.